Chosen one, take a breath. You don't need something dramatic to happen for your life to be moving forward. Growth doesn't always announce itself with fireworks. Most of the time it looks quieter than that. Getting up on the hard mornings, showing up to work you don't feel like doing, choosing patience with yourself when nothing feels resolved yet. If you're waiting for a sign that things are changing, the sign might already be here. It might just look like an ordinary Tuesday where you kept going anyway. If your life feels uncertain right now, that doesn't mean something is wrong with you or that you're falling behind some invisible schedule. Uncertainty is simply what it feels like to be in the middle of something you haven't finished yet. Nobody feels settled in the middle of a process. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where the process currently is, and that is allowed. You don't need a sign in the sky to know you're doing okay. The quiet, steady effort you put in, the kind no one claps for, the kind nobody sees, is still real progress. Every small step you take today is building something, even if you can't see the shape of it yet. Keep going at whatever pace is honest for you. You don't have to rush. You don't have to force it. Slow is still forward. We grow up with a certain idea of what change is supposed to look like. It's supposed to be a moment, a phone call, a diagnosis, a proposal, a promotion, a single Tuesday afternoon that splits your life into before and after. Movies are built this way. Stories are built this way. So we start to expect our own lives to work the same way, and when they don't, we assume nothing is happening. But most real change doesn't work like that. Most real change is slow, boring, and mostly invisible while it's happening. It's the version of you 6 months from now who handles a hard conversation differently than the version of you today, not because of one big breakthrough, but because of 100 small moments where you practice staying calm instead of panicking. It's the muscle you built by choosing to keep going on the days when quitting would have been easier and nobody would have blamed you. If you've been waiting for your life to announce its next chapter with some unmistakable, undeniable sign, you might be missing the chapter that's already writing itself in the ordinary decisions you're making right now. The version of you that gets where you're going isn't going to arrive because of a single moment of transformation. She's going to arrive because of Tuesday, and Wednesday, and all the unremarkable days in between that nobody will ever put in a highlight reel. It's easy to look at where you currently are, a job you haven't left yet, a relationship you're still figuring out, a goal you haven't reached, a version of yourself you're not fully proud of yet, and read it as a verdict. As if your current circumstances are a final grade on who you are and what you're capable of. But a snapshot isn't a sentence. Where you are right now is one frame in a much longer film, and it says almost nothing about where the story ends. You are allowed to be in progress. You are allowed to be unfinished. You are allowed to not have it figured out yet, because almost nobody actually does, no matter how put together their life looks from the outside. Comparison is one of the cruelest tricks the mind plays on us, because it takes someone else's highlight reel, their finished project, their good week, their public wins, and holds it up against our behind-the-scenes footage, our bad days, our half-finished attempts. That comparison was never fair to begin with. You are not behind other people. You are simply on a different timeline, living a life that nobody else has lived before, facing choices that nobody else has had to face in exactly the way you're facing them. If you've gone through something hard, a loss, a failure, a season of feeling stuck, a period where nothing seemed to go right, it's tempting to see that time as wasted, as if the only seasons of life that count are the ones that produced something visible. But difficulty tends to leave something behind, even when it doesn't feel like it in the moment. It leaves behind a kind of steadiness that's hard to build any other way. People who have been through hard things often carry a quieter kind of strength, not the loud, performative kind, but the kind that shows up in how they handle the next hard thing and the one after that. You don't get that kind of strength from a life that's always gone smoothly. You get it from having survived the parts that didn't. That doesn't mean the hard season was good, or that you should be grateful for suffering, or that everything happens for a tidy reason. Some things are just hard, and it's honest to say so. But it does mean that what you went through isn't disqualifying you from what comes next. If anything, it's part of what's equipping you for it. Not because pain is some kind of magic ingredient, but because you learned things about yourself in that season that you couldn't have learned any other way. What you can survive, what actually matters to you, who shows up for you and who doesn't, what you're willing to fight for. There's a particular kind of pressure that comes from feeling like you should already know your direction, your career, your relationships, your purpose, all of it mapped out with confidence. And when you don't have that clarity, it can feel like everyone else got a manual you never received. Nobody actually has it all figured out. The people who seem the most certain are often the best at hiding the same uncertainty you're carrying. Clarity for most people doesn't arrive all at once as a finished plan. It arrives in pieces, usually only after you've taken a few steps forward, not before. You often can't think your way into knowing what to do next. You have to act your way into it. Try something, see what it teaches you, and adjust from there. So if you're in a season where the path isn't clear, that's not evidence that you're doing something wrong. It might just mean you're at the part of the process where clarity hasn't shown up yet, because it usually shows up later than we'd like, closer to when we actually need it than when we start asking for it. You're allowed to take the next small step without seeing the whole staircase. Somewhere along the way, a lot of us picked up the idea that rest is something you have to earn, and that slowing down is a form of falling behind. But rest isn't the opposite of progress, it's part of it. Nothing sustainable is built by running yourself into the ground. Even the systems we build things with, engines, muscles, ecosystems, need periods of recovery to keep functioning at all. If you've been pushing hard for a long time and you're tired, that tiredness isn't a character flaw. It's information. It's your body and mind telling you something true, that you're a person, not a machine, and that people need rest the way plants need water. Taking that rest doesn't erase the progress you've made. It protects it. It's what allows you to keep going instead of burning out completely and losing far more time than the rest would have cost you. You're allowed to slow down without treating it as a failure. You're allowed to take a day, a week, a season to simply recover without needing to justify it with productivity. Rest doesn't require permission, and it definitely doesn't require an apology. There's a quiet dignity in doing the small thing well. Sending the email you've been putting off, making the phone call, doing the workout you didn't feel like doing, having the conversation you've been avoiding. None of these moments look impressive from the outside. Nobody's going to throw you a parade for finally replying to that message or finally getting out of bed on the day it was hardest to. But these are the actual bricks that everything else gets built out of. It's easy to discount small actions because they don't feel proportionate to the size of what you're trying to build. But almost nothing meaningful is built in one motion. It's built the way a wall is built, one brick placed on top of another, day after day, most of them looking identical and unremarkable, until one day you step back and realize there's a wall there that wasn't there before. If today all you did was the small, honest thing, showed up, tried, kept a promise to yourself even in a minor way, that counts. It's not nothing. It's the exact material that bigger things get made out of. Sometimes the hardest part of moving forward is admitting that the direction you were so sure about isn't the right one anymore. Maybe it's a career path you invested years into. Maybe it's a belief about yourself you've held for a long time. Maybe it's a plan you built your whole identity around. Changing your mind can feel like admitting failure, like all that time was wasted. But growing as a person almost always requires updating your mind as you go. The you from 5 years ago made the best decisions she could with the information and understanding she had at the time. The you now knows more. It would be strange if you hadn't changed your mind about anything in 5 years. That wouldn't be consistency, it would be stagnation. You're allowed to outgrow decisions you once felt certain about. You're allowed to walk away from something you used to want. That's not instability. That's what it looks like to keep learning instead of freezing yourself into a version of you that no longer fits. Not everything that matters needs to be visible to other people. Some of the most important work you'll ever do is work no one will ever see. The internal work of becoming steadier, kinder to yourself, more honest, more resilient. There's no public recognition for that kind of growth. There's no announcement, no milestone post, no one clapping. And that's okay. It was never supposed to be for an audience. If you've been quietly working on yourself, your patience, your habits, your relationship with your own thoughts, and it feels like no one has noticed, that doesn't mean it isn't real. Some of the most significant changes in a person's life happen far away from any spotlight. You don't need outside validation to know that what you're building matters. You get to know that on your own. There's no finish line where you suddenly become a finished, permanently sorted out version of yourself. Growth doesn't work like that. It's not a destination you arrive at and then stop needing to tend to. It's ongoing, ordinary, ever-shifting work, showing up again tomorrow and the day after that, adjusting as you go, forgiving yourself when you slip, starting again without treating the slip as proof that you failed. You are allowed to be a work in progress for the rest of your life. That's not a consolation prize. That's what being alive actually looks like for everyone, even the people who seem to have it together. The goal was never to become flawless. The goal is to keep becoming, a little more honest, a little more patient, a little more yourself, one ordinary day at a time. So if today felt small or slow or uncertain, let that be enough. You showed up. You kept going. That is not nothing. That has never been nothing. Keep going at your own pace, chosen one. You are exactly where you need to be to take the next step, whenever you're ready to take it.